Alright, so in this video I'm going to be explaining how World Runners works. I'm going to make it as simple as possible and as quick as possible for new players, returning players, and people who are just watching the season. Hopefully I won't stumble over my words too much. So, this layout, let's say this is the entire race. This is the entire season in front of you. So the 6 players, let's use the season 1 format of 6 people, start on this platform. Their goal to win the season is to be the first player to arrive at this platform. But before they do so, there are going to be checkpoints in the race that they have to race by, or that they have to arrive at, which is marked by the white concrete. So, let's say I arrive at the first checkpoint. The last player that arrives at the checkpoints are eliminated along the way. It'll keep going until 3 players remain to race in the last leg. The 3 players will race to the finish line. So, let's say in the first leg, for example, there are 6 players. They will complete some tasks, which I will go into later. They'll arrive at the checkpoint. The players will not continue from this point until all people have arrived. Last person's eliminated. Then we have 5 players who will go to the second checkpoint. Same with 4 players, 3 players, until we get a winner. Let's go into some of the challenges. So the most basic challenge is a route info, which is marked by yellow and red. This is where you will get the task itself in all of these chests. These are going to be the markers that you will see for each task. And then behind them are pads. The only time these pads are required is if you need to check in with the host, which is basically just the book in the chest will tell you. So let's say I complete the task and I'm like, hey, I need a host or whatever. You'll wait on this pad. But let's get into the first one, route info, yellow and red. What it is, a route info is just telling you where to go, what to do. So it could go from, follow the river, or follow these set of coordinates, which is the most common. The second task is a roadblock. All it is it's a challenge that all the players have to complete in order to move on. It's red and black, and this is what the marker in the map will look like. A detour is marked by yellow and black. This is different. It will give players a list of 2 tasks. In order for a player to move on, they only have to complete one of the 2 tasks. One task will be marked in yellow, the other will be marked in black, and once you complete the task, if the book specifies, you will wait on the pad for the host, but most of the time it won't. The next one is an intersection. An intersection is orange and black. Here's the marker. The intersection requires you to complete a task with another player. So a team of 2 will work together to complete the task. Once they complete it, they will be allowed to move on. The next one, which is optional, this is not required, is a fast forward. It's kind of an advantage in the race. It's marked by green and black. Here's the marker. There's the mat. So the way it works is there will be one fast forward in every leg of the race, except for the final 4 and the final 3, so it must be used at the final 5 or before then. You can only use it once in a leg, and it can only be used once by a player once in the entire race. We have one fast forward there and one fast forward there because this is the final 5. There can't be one at final 3. So let's say that, so the fast forwards will be like at the beginning of the leg. So let's say that I am feeling like I'm in danger and I want to use the fast forward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the task that the fast forward challenges, and once I complete it, I will get a clock which will give me coordinates straight to the checkpoint, and I will not be required to complete any of the challenges that are in that leg. I can just go straight to the checkpoint. Keep in mind, it does not guarantee that you will get first place, because, if you take forever to complete the challenge, or you take forever to follow the coordinates to the checkpoint, of course you could still get eliminated, but it means you get to skip a ton of challenges, so the chances of you being eliminated are very slim, and you can get first. But if I do this fast forward, everybody else, so say 3 people try to do this fast forward at once, the first player that gets it is the person who gets the fast forward. 2 players cannot get the fast forward in a leg. If I get the fast forward and say I get first place and I'm still scared that I could be eliminated, I am not allowed to I'm not allowed to use the fast forward again because I've already used my fast forward for the remainder of the race. Another challenge is the face-off. The face-off is marked by blue and black. All it is players basically 1v1 in a task/challenge. If you win the 1v1, you move on. If you fail, you have to wait to battle the next player. If you are the very last player that does not have an opponent, you will be given a time penalty of 5 to 10 minutes. It really depends. So this is a rewind. It is not a challenge itself. It's basically a rewind challenge is just a challenge that has been in a previous season. So let's say, for example, we change all of this glass to a yellow color. This is going to be what a detour rewind would look like because it has the yellow markings as the 2 tasks. If it was a roadblock, then the red or the yellow would be replaced by red. And again, it just means that this challenge was in a previous season. It's nothing special. I just don't want people to get confused if you see the white markings with the color. It's just a normal challenge that players still have to complete. So I will now do a quick run through of the test course that I have. Let's say I am blue, again using the 6-player format. The host says go, but before I go, I need to really important note that peaceful will always be on unless specified differently. Breaking, placing blocks, and PvP will also always be allowed unless a challenge specifies differently. So let's say I'm going. If a challenge will ever, or a leg will ever have a game mode outside of peaceful, you will be required to take some stakes. But let's say I'm following the markers to my very first route info. I have to make sure that I take the book, craft a boat, and sell to your first challenge. So I'm going to break a wood. Let's say I craft a boat and I'm sailing along the water. I get out of the boat, keep following the markers to my first challenge. Let's say I come across and then this is where I have the option to take the fast forward or not, or I could continue with the race. Let's say I'm in last place. I feel very, very nervous that I could be eliminated. I'm going to go ahead and take it, but I'm racing 3 other players for some reason have decided they also want to take the fast forward. So I have to make sure I'm the first player to complete it. Read the book for a second, use the ores to craft a pickaxe. So I have to get the fast forward out of the obsidian. If you want to pause and read it, you can. So let's say I get some wood, yada yada yada, I do all this mess. Let's say I mine the obsidian. Hey, here's the fast forward. I'm the first player to get it, so that means the other 2 players that tried the fast forward will have to continue with the race. Since I got it, I will be allowed to follow the coordinates, which will be on the clock. They're just not on this one because I'm stupid. To the checkpoint in the race. If, for example, so let's say that the fast forward wasn't in this chest and another item was, or let's just say there wasn't even a chest. All I had to do to complete the fast forward was mine an obsidian. Let's say, oh, I've mined my obsidian. I have it. I have to wait on the green mat, call the host. The host will come over. He will throw me the fast forward. I will pick it up, and then I can move on. That kind of explains the mat situation. But in an alternate timeline, let's say I feel safe. I'm in second place out of 6 players, so I don't think I will be eliminated this stage. I'm going to continue with the race with the roadblock, marked by red, remember. Search inside the marked area for a chest. Once found, grab your colored wool. So this is what the marked area would look like. It matches the color scheme of a roadblock. I'm searching. I find the chest. I am, of course, the way the book words it, I have to grab my colored wool. I am blue, which is the color of my helmet. So I'm going to grab my wool. Now I'm going to move on to the detour. So in this detour, I can choose to complete one of 2 tasks, either near, which is marked by yellow, or far, black. For near, I can complete a hard parkour course that is close, or for far, black, I can complete an easier parkour course, but it is far away. Let's say I'm not that good at parkour. I don't want to risk doing the yellow one, so I want to go to the black one, which is over here. Again, it says I need to take my color wool. As you can see, each task says once you have completed it, grab your colored wool and move on. So I now have 2 of my wool. I'm going to continue on. So this is something that I don't think is in the Amazing Race. This is called a midpoint elimination. What it is if I arrive here and I'm in first place, I'm safe. I myself am going to keep going on with the race because this leg is not over. But if I'm the last player to arrive at this particular spot, then I'm eliminated. Meanwhile, the other players will continue on with the race. But let's say I'm second to last. Let's say I'm 5th place out of 6 players. I've arrived here. I'm safe. I'm going to keep on. Meanwhile, the person that is in 6th place is eliminated because they're going to be the last person here. But that does not mean I'm safe for the leg, because now that there's only 5 players, I still have to make sure that I'm not the last place person that arrives at the checkpoint. Alright, so let's say we do this route info, travel to the coordinates. Alright, I'm traveling the coordinates, which is going to be over here, and let's do this intersection. So, with the intersection, again, I need 2 players. Only I have to choose one of the 3 stations, and I have to get to the top. So with this, is a little bit differently. So let's break that, and that, because that's not how this works. So to choose a station, to prevent everybody choosing one station, let's say that there's wool. If I want to pick a station, say I'm going to break this block, that means this station is picked. So that way, for the players that come up afterwards, they're like, okay, that station's been picked because it doesn't have a blue wool, so I'm going to pick one of these 2 stations. So let me pick this one, that station, that way the last station that can be picked is this one. So let's say I picked this station, and my teammate and I work together to complete the task. Now I'm going to grab my wool. Keep in mind, I am with a teammate, so I'm also going to grab my teammate's wool, which let's say it's green for example. I'm going to jump down, throw my teammate the wool, and I'm going to continue on with the race. And let me give my jaw a break because my mouth is tired of talking. Okay, my jaw feels so much better. So, let's say I continued on with the race, and I'm now at a face-off competition. So, again, players will face off in a 1v1 PvP battle using only their fists. They will be given their colored wool. So let me go ahead and grab my colored wool. So, let's say I'm the first player to arrive. Second place arrives. We battle. Let's say I lose. The black player is going to be allowed to move on. Meanwhile, I have to wait for the 3rd place to come. Me and 3rd place will fight. Oh, let's say that I finally won. I will then be given my wool, move on, and then this is the checkpoint in the race. Now, in order to be officially safe at the checkpoint, if you're not last, you do have to have every book from each challenge. You also have to have all of the items that you collected at the end of the challenge. In this case, I do have every book. I have my 3 wool that I needed to collect, so I am officially safe. So let's say this is 1st place, there's 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place. So let's say I'm 2nd place. 1st place is going to be let out into the next leg from the checkpoint immediately. Me, however, I have to wait 10 seconds beforehand before I'm released. 3rd place will have to wait 10 seconds after the 2nd place person is released, so on and so forth. So there'll be 10 seconds between each players. And again, that's an example, so getting here in a specific order does matter, because with 12 players in this next season, if you're 11th place, for example, you're going to have to wait over a minute until you're allowed to start the next leg of the race, as compared to 1st, who gets to start immediately. This right here is what the finish line will look like. Again, same rules as checkpoint. In order to actually finish the race, you do have to have all the items. It's also important to note that everybody's inventories will be cleared at the start of each leg. With that being said, hopefully I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'll hate myself. But if you have any questions, ask in the description. And I will see you later, Gator.